Hey guys, Henry here from Our Freedom Formula. In this video, we're asking the question, what is the Stoics' view about good or bad? The Stoics had a distinct perspective on the concept of good and bad. According to Stoic philosophy, the ultimate good is virtue, or living in accordance with reason and moral excellence. Virtue, in the Stoic view, is the only intrinsic good, while everything else, including health, wealth, and external circumstances, are considered indifferent. According to Stoic philosophy, what is truly good and bad are not external events or circumstances themselves, but rather our judgment and attitude towards them. The Stoics believe that the key to a happy life lies in cultivating wisdom and virtue, rather than pursuing external goods or avoiding external evils. Good. When a Stoic encounters something that others might consider good, such as wealth, fame, or pleasure, they approach it with a different mindset. They acknowledge that these external things are indifferent to their moral character and do not determine their happiness. Instead, they focus on their own thoughts, actions, and attitudes in response to these external events. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus emphasized this perspective in his teachings. He wrote, "The chief task in life is simply this, to identify and separate matters so that I can say clearly to myself which are externals, not under my control, and which have to do with choices I actually control. Where then do I look for good and evil? Not to uncontrollable externals, but within myself, to the choices that are my own." In other words, the Stoic recognizes that the true measure of good and bad lies in our own internal choices and attitudes. They believe that virtue, wisdom, and moral character are the ultimate good and can be cultivated regardless of our external circumstances. Another Stoic philosopher, Seneca, expressed a similar sentiment. "What really frightens and dismays us is not external events themselves, but the way in which we think about them. It is not the thing that disturbs us, but our interpretation of their significance." According to Seneca, it's not the events themselves that disturb us, but rather our interpretation and judgment of the events. By changing our perspective and focusing on our own inner virtues, we can find tranquility and peace of mind even in the face of adversity. The Stoic view on the idea of good and bad revolves around recognizing that external events are indifferent to our own moral character and happiness. True good and bad are found within ourselves, in our own choices, attitudes, and virtues. By focusing on cultivating wisdom, virtue, and a proper clear perspective, Stoics aim to find tranquility and contentment regardless of the external circumstances they encounter. Bad. In the Stoic view, events or situations that others may consider bad are handled differently to how most of the people in this modern world would approach it. Stoics believe that our judgment and interpretation of events are what gives them their emotional weight. Therefore, they focus on developing a mindset that allows them to reframe and reinterpret these events in a way that promotes inner tranquility and virtue. Here are a few Stoic perspectives on bad events or situations. Epictetus emphasizes the importance of our judgment in shaping our perception of events. Man is disturbed not by things, but by the view he takes of them. Epictetus reminds us that it is not the events themselves that cause frustration or disturbs us, but rather our subjective interpretations of those events. Stoics strive to recognize that their judgments and opinions about events are within their control and can be shaped in a way that minimizes negative emotions. Marcus Aurelius, a Stoic emperor, reflected on the transitory nature of events and the importance of our response to them. He wrote, "Objective judgment, now, at this very moment. Unselfish action, now, at this very moment. Willing acceptance, now, at this very moment, of all external events." Marcus Aurelius emphasized the significance of responding to events with objectivity and acceptance. Stoics aim to cultivate a mindset that allows them to face events without excessive attachments or aversions, recognizing that events are beyond their control and should be accepted with equanimity. Seneca, another Stoic philosopher, advocated for seeing adversity as an opportunity for personal growth and the exercise of virtue. He stated, "It is in times of security that the spirit should be preparing itself for difficult times. While fortune is bestowing favour on it, then is the time for it to be strengthened against her rebuffs." Seneca encourages the idea that challenging or bad events can serve as opportunities for inner strength and virtue. Stoics see adversity as a chance to practice resilience, courage, and other virtues that contribute to personal development. These quotes and perspectives reflect the Stoic view that events themselves are indifferent, and that our judgment and responses to them are what truly matter. How to stop saying good or bad? I don't know about you, but I had a habit of using the term good or bad quite a bit over my lifetime. By seeing things as good or bad, I was colouring the lens of the situation and making it harder to see things in a clearer perspective. By removing those terms from what I say or think, it became easier to see things in a more appropriate manner. In the Stoic philosophy, the term often used to express the idea of not categorizing something as inherently good or bad is indifferent. Stoics differentiate between things that are within our control and those that are not, and the things that are not within our control are often referred to as indifferent. The Stoics consider these indifferences as preferred indifference or dispreferred indifference, based on their practical value and usefulness for living a virtuous life. For example, wealth is considered a preferred indifferent because it can be helpful in providing security and enabling acts of generosity, but it is not inherently good or essential to living a virtuous life. Just a brief side note. If you want to replace the term good or bad, you can use the terms desirable or undesirable or preferred or unpreferred instead. You could even use the term satisfactory or unsatisfactory. They mean practically the same thing as preferred indifferent and dispreferred indifferent. Control. According to Stoic philosophy, there are certain things within our control and other things that lie outside of our control. The Stoics emphasize the importance of distinguishing between these two categories to attain inner peace and live a virtuous life. Things within our complete control. Stoics believe that the only things truly within our control are our thoughts, beliefs, judgments, choices, and actions. These are aspects of ourselves that we can shape and direct according to our own values, principles, and will. Epictetus expressed this idea in his teachings. Some things are within our power while others are not. Within our power are opinion, motivation, desire, aversion, and in a word, whatever is of our own doing. Not within our power are our body, property, reputation, office, and in a word, whatever is not of our own doing. In this quote, Epictetus distinguishes between the internal aspect of ourselves, which we have control over, and external things, which are not under our complete control. Things within our partial control. While we have some influence over certain external events or circumstances, we do not have complete control over their outcomes. For example, we can take actions that increase the likelihood of a favourable result, but the final outcome is ultimately beyond our control. Seneca illustrates this concept. Take command of yourself in order to exert greater control over your own fate. Seneca suggests that by mastering ourselves and our responses, we can influence external events to some extent, but we cannot dictate or guarantee the ultimate outcome. Things completely outside of our control. The Stoics emphasize that many things in life are entirely outside of our control, such as natural disasters, other people's actions, and unforeseen circumstances. Epictetus acknowledges this reality. For the present, I beseech you to remember this, that the faculty of willing is the only thing that is good and evil. Consider then, whether it is against reason that you should employ this faculty, and on every occasion wish events to happen as they do. Epictetus reminds us that our power lies within our will and choices, while external events are beyond our influence. Therefore, it's logical to make our desires and intentions fall in line with the events, rather than resisting what is beyond our control. We have partial control over some external events, where we can influence outcomes, but we cannot guarantee them. Should we remove the idea of good and bad from our life? The Stoics didn't advocate for completely removing the idea of good or bad from their minds. Instead, they sought to develop a more rational and nuanced understanding of these concepts. The Stoics recognized that our initial impressions and judgments about the events and circumstances can be influenced by subjective biases and emotions. They believed that by examining these impressions and aligning them with reason and virtue, we can develop a more balanced and serene mindset. The Stoics aimed to cultivate an attitude of calm, peace, and acceptance, acknowledging that some things are within our control and others are not. They encouraged individuals to focus on what is within their control, their thoughts, choices, and actions, and to develop virtues such as wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance or self-control. However, this does not mean that Stoics should become indifferent or apathetic to the world around them. Stoicism promotes the pursuit of virtue and well-being of others. The Stoic Emperor Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Concentrate on what you have to do. Fix your eyes on it. Remind yourself that your task is to be a good human being. Remind yourself what nature demands of people. Then do it without hesitation. Speak the truth as you see it." This quote reflects the Stoic emphasis on fulfilling our responsibilities and striving to live a virtuous life, even in the face of challenging circumstances. Stoics were encouraged to actively engage in the world around them and pursue virtuous actions while maintaining an inner state of tranquility and accepting the outcomes that are beyond their control. In essence, Stoicism encourages individuals to develop a more reasoned and virtuous understanding of what is truly good or bad, while encouraging the limitations of their control over external events. If you got some value out of this video, how about you smash the like button, as well as subscribe and hit the bell icon so you'll be notified when we upload more videos. Hey, while you're at it, why not share and also leave a comment down below and let me know how you handle situations that others who don't practice Stoicism would consider good or bad. Just so you know, on the top left-hand side of the screen is a video I believe you might like. Below that is a video YouTube thinks you might like. And if you look on the right side of the screen, you'll see an image of my head. Now, if you click on that or poke me in the forehead with your finger, you'll be able to subscribe. Thank you so much for watching, and bye for now.